Welcome back to another Warhammer the Old World Battle Report. This time we have a showdown between my new dwarf army and Ben's Orcs and Goblins. So yeah, I recently traded some Tomb Kings and Wood Elves for some dwarves, and it really could form the core of what Richie on Dowie After Dark, his YouTube channel, is running in his Royal Clans list. It's sort of, so I'll just go through it. So there's a king on Shield Bearers with Master Rune of Smiting, so d6 damage, and then a Runesmith Battle Standard Bearer, and then I think 32 or something Longbeards, the number you need to fill up your core, all in one unit. Then 18 Iron Drakes, one Grudge Thrower, which is a catapult standing in for it, one Bugman's Pony Cart, which this 40k tractor is standing in for, and then one Anvil of Doom, and I'm using an Obelisk of Doom, again, because just got this army and I still need to pick up a few more pieces to finish it off. The big idea here is that you can, through Drilled and the double move off the Anvil, this unit, thanks to the buff from the cart, can move 24 inches, and it has, 24 inches. In marching column, they move 12, and you can do it twice, and then they have the banner for Vanguard, so they can move 27 inches, ideally, if everything goes properly in the first turn. So the idea is that unit just gets in the opponent's face and tries to kill off some points while not giving up any points, because it's a tough nut to crack. And then you have a few little support pieces, and the Iron Drakes themselves are pretty scary with their good stand and shoot. So that's sort of the idea behind the dwarf list. And then the Orcs and Goblins list is a bit of a gun line. He has 4 Bolt Throwers and 2 Doom Divers. And then, lots of cheapish war machines, 1 unit of Wolf Riders, 1 unit of 3 Trolls, a Black Orc on Wyvern, 2 allowed for defense, a level 4 Orc Shaman on Elementalism, and then a unit, I think, of 16 Black Orcs with a Battle Standard Bearer, I think Black Orc boss in there, and then an Orc boss on a Chariot, unit of 30-something Night Goblins with a Goblin, with the Night Goblin boss in there, and the 3 Fanatics you expect to see. So we're just playing open battle. I obviously finished deploying first, so my opponent was able to see that I had dropped most of my units over here and put his stuff on the flank, giving himself lots of time to shoot into my units, and his Chariot's coming around the flank. So I do get turn 1, and the Longbeards just go full speed forward. They used Drill to move into marching column, moved up 12. Then I cast the Rune of Haste and Urgency from the Anvil. It's really not that reliable. You have to roll a 7 on 2 dice to get it to go off, and he didn't have anyone in deny range, but if he had of, couldn't have turned 1, but that makes it quite unreliable. So interesting to see how that works out. I think you have to make sure to place your Anvil somewhere, or it can't be denied, I guess. But then they switched back from marching column into regular, moved up another 8 inches. They marched, but not in marching column, to get right in front of the Trolls. Then the Iron Drakes had nothing to shoot at. The Grudge Thrower shot at a Doom Diver, rolled a misfire, used the Engineering Rune to reroll, rolled another misfire, but didn't blow up. And then the Magic Missile off the Anvil killed a bunch of wolf riders. I think 5 of them, and they fled. So yeah, very. Other than the misfires, great dwarf first turn. I put the reroll armor saves buff on the iron longbeards, so they not the full high power one, but the regular one. So that was good. So what happens in the Orcs and Goblins turn is the Wolf Riders continue to flee and cause the Doom Diver to panic and also flee off the board. So that was definitely a bonus. The Trolls fail their stupidity, and so he just lumbers them forward to 1 inch in front of me. The general is there, so they've rolled an 11. So that felt pretty lucky for me. I think he had a chance to potentially march outside of my charge arc, which would have left me sort of hanging in the wind here in front of all his shooting. So that's good, because now I'm going to get to charge them, hopefully kill them, and then reform. There was an elemental spirit was cast here. And then, he used travel mystical pathways to move his black orcs over to threaten the flank of my dwarves. The wyvern does the same thing, and his chariot is just moving up wide on the flank. Goblins are marching forward. So dwarves turn 2. They charge the longbeards, charge the trolls that are stuck in front of them, kill them, and then reform. And don't love that there are bolt throwers now getting flank shots. He killed off a couple longbeards in his first turn with the bolt throwers. My Iron Drakes move forward, so the back rank's still on the hill, and they shoot and kill some night goblins. And Anvil doesn't really have any targets. It puts the armor save buff back on the longbeards. And my Grudge Thrower rolls another misfire, so 3 misfires in a row to do nothing. So so Orcs and Goblins turn 2. Now I'm wondering whether it's 3 or 2. It must be, right? I moved up, fought. Yeah, so Orcs and Goblins turn 2. Get out of here. I think the Black Orcs shuffled back a bit. Nope, this is another one. The Black Orcs shuffle back a bit, so I think I have to roll a 6. They're just within 9 inches, so I would need to roll a 6 to make the charge. I could use drill to not go through the woods, which would help me, even though, but still it's a long charge. It's not that much of a threat, and it's giving him another turn for all his war machines, including 2 bolt throwers going through the flank. The night goblins get travel mystical pathways cast on them, and they bounce forward. And the boar chariot has marched around and has come around to the flank. He's going to release his night goblins in his turn, or at the start of my command phase, which isn't going to be great. His shooting, though, is, in effect, he misses with all 4 bolt thrower shots, which is lucky for me, since they basically completely deny my save. The Doom Diver, though, lands a direct hit on my Grudge Thrower and kills it. So yeah, disappointing first showing for the Grudge Thrower. It's because I don't have the actual model. So then Dwarves turn 3. We fail our charge, so they only moved an inch forward. But then I cast Rune of Haste and Urgency on them to move again. They're just within the 24. I'm not 100% sure on if this is possible or not. There was something in one of the FAQs that implied, the FAQ is saying that you can't cast conveyance spells if you charge. I think was in response to people failing charges with their wizards and then using conveyance spells to move them again. That's the only reason why. That's my thought behind why that FAQ question was asked and answered. So that would imply that a different unit can cast a conveyance spell on a unit that has failed to charge. But I don't know if that's actually possible. The wording on the Rune of Haste and Urgency is just that the unit must have already moved in the movement phase, which they did do. So I don't know if someone knows so I don't think that actually has an answer in the rulebook, but if someone thinks they have some interpretation that is more accurate than what I've done, I'd love to hear it in the comments. The Fanatics bust through the Iron Drakes, killing some of them. They also hit the pony cart and kill it. What am I down to? Yeah, I think I lost 5 Iron Drakes, so that was actually pretty lucky. Around that. So they reformed because they have quick shot, and then I wanted to get both units in my front arc, and then they put all their shots into the Night Goblins. Or did I shoot the Night Goblins? Or did I shoot the... Yeah, I think I couldn't really... I was going to have trouble seeing the chariot with everyone and still keep the Night Goblins in my front arc, so I put my shots in the Night Goblins, killed some off, but not enough for them to... Oh, he would have failed his panic, but he was still within 18 inches of his general, so they stuck around. Yeah, and so over here, I moved up to within 1 inch with the Rune of Haste and Urgency to deny him his Furious Charge, because he's now only charging an inch. So then in this fight, he charged with both units into my front arc, and I stand and shot into the Night Goblins, and did 13 wounds to them, which, yeah, it was lucky. I think I rolled a 6 on my Cinderblast bomb for the number of hits. So that was a big deal. My opponent then said after, and I agree with him, like he shouldn't have charged. He just should have just not charged with the Night Goblins. It would have let me do that stand and shoot, I think with the Trollhammer Torpedo into the chariot, but it does have the Dead Hard Armor, so it's toughness 6, and my regular gun's only strength 5, so a good chance that he just weathers that storm, and then I don't get all the combat resolution from killing off all those goblins. So this fight, and then the chariot does sort of okay, but not great, and the attacks back, the Iron Drakes roll well and end up just wiping out the Goblin unit, the 6 that are remaining, so end up having a very big combat res score, and the chariot falls back in good order, and that leaves my Iron Drakes in my turn, because I forget to take many more photos after this, a chance to shoot at his wizard, which is just up here, but he survives on 1 wound on my turn. Then in this fight, the Black Orcs and the War Boss charge in. I issue a challenge with the King, which the War Boss accepts. I think my opponent then, in retrospect, thought... So this fight is then pretty much a wash. I think because he had 2 Black Orc characters and they both wogged, so we tied on combat resolution. He has the Red Raggedy Flag and a War Banner. I have 2 Runes of Battle and 2 Standards as well. We both have 2 ranks in close order. So, yeah, I end up losing the combat and giving ground. And he chooses to follow up. So... yeah, and the King Wyvern fight, he doesn't do any wounds to me, I don't think, and I get 1 blow through on him and then roll a 2 for the number of wounds, so do 2 wounds to him. So not a conclusive fight. The fight continues in the next round though, and the King lands another wound on the Wyvern, and drops him down to 1 wound left. And we're starting to win the Black Orc fight. I kill off a few Black Orcs, and I think I suffer a few casualties in return. And his war machines are really cut down on the number of. They don't really have any targets now. And then, yeah, as I mentioned, the Ironbreakers shot at the wizard, and then basically we called the game there. This fight was looking like his woman was likely to die the next turn without having killed my king, and then I was going to grind down the rest of the Black Orc unit over the next couple turns. That's pretty actually ideal for me for this combat to keep going, so that I don't get shot by all the war machines that are right here. And then on the other side of the board, it sort of depends on. I'm not sure if his Black Orc Chariot could kill off my Iron Drakes before the end of the game. They'd have a chance, but I get to stand and shoot, and he'd be doing impact hits. So yeah, it's getting late, so we wrapped it up there. Sort of a win to the dwarves, but a close game. I think. Yeah, my opponent regretted taking this challenge with the Wyvern on the Wyvern on the King. I think it's not so cut and dry. Like, I think if he accepts the challenge with, say, like the Black Orc champion, who doesn't really have any defensive items, like the king has a potential to max out his overkill on 6. And I don't know if the war boss on Wyvern does 6 wounds to the Ironbreakers. He might, but it's certainly not for sure. Whereas I think it's a pretty good chance that the king can get at least 2 wins through, and then average of 7 on the overkill with the Master in Smiting. So I think it's a bit of a draw. It certainly cuts down the output of the Black Orc War Boss if he's fighting the king, but it's also cutting down the king's output if he's having to fight the War Boss. My opponent. I should have mentioned that before. My opponent had tried to cast Travel Mystical Pathways on the Black Orcs to get them to hop behind my unit before they charged, but before he had marched up to me. But I used my rune of the Dispel Scroll rune on the Ironbreaker to deny that. So then we were left in this fight. Yeah, so yeah, fun game, fun first tryout for the dwarves. It's an interesting army to use with basically we only have 2 units and only one of them's a combat unit. It actually feels sort of like using a dragon, only it's slower but more survivable in a different way. It really feels like how you do your challenges becomes a huge part of whether you win or lose a combat. So I'm excited to keep painting them and keep playing some games with them. And thank you for watching. Bye for now.